The Irish making more and more folks believers the last couple weeks, Brady. I know you didn't need to have your mind changed.
No, I felt great about this team the entire year, but it was very telling, I think, what you saw in the college football playoff rankings, and it didn't have so much to do necessarily with Notre Dame. They didn't go anywhere.
Right.
I do think they're a lock now for the playoff, even with a loss in the ACC championship game for this reason. Look at North Carolina in the rankings, okay? They lost to Notre Dame. They got shut out in the second half. They're the only team in the top 25 with 3 losses. They moved up 2 spots. What does that tell you then about how the committee looks at Notre Dame? They actually gave UNC brownie points for being able to keep it close in the first half versus this team. So I think they're a virtual lock in this playoff. And let me just say this about their quarterback, Ian Book. He's had a phenomenal year, a phenomenal career. With a win today, he'll be the all-time winningest quarterback in Notre Dame history. Wow. The journey that he's made from when he started and he got there, I think he started his 5th string on that team to what he is now. It's truly incredible. Congratulations to Ian Book. When it happens, I'm assuming they'll be able to take care of business today versus Syracuse.
That's a great story. And yeah, they're going to take care of business against Syracuse. I didn't really have any issues with the college football playoff rankings. I pretty much had all the same teams exactly where they had them. I think Notre Dame is a virtual lock, especially also Alabama as well. But I think when we talk about Cincinnati Bearcats, they're a team that's on the outside, and I believe they're going to stay on the outside because of one factor, and that's just strength of schedule. None of the teams that they've played are currently ranked, and I know they're going to play Tulsa today, but I just don't know if that win against Tulsa, even if they do win that game, they're probably going to win it, but I don't know if that game is going to be enough to get them into the college football playoff rankings.
I think, first of all, just to Ian Book, that's the reason why I think we just all love college football stories like that, and there's so many great ones, and best of luck to him, obviously. For me, again, it's the Big 12, and I said it last week. You guys laughed at me again, and you're going to laugh at me again, but I'm telling you, the Big 12, guys, is going to make a case to be in that top 4 when it's all said and done. If some dominoes fall in front of them, I get that, but Iowa State moving up 4 spots this week, guys. Talk about respect from the committee. They got a ton of respect, and then Oklahoma sitting there at number 11. If you look at an Iowa State team who finishes the season as a 2-loss conference champ, some of these teams like Georgia's not going anywhere. Texas A&M is a wild card, but they're not playing for an SEC championship game. And then if Notre Dame handles Clemson, all these things can happen. But Iowa State, the Big 12, watch out. They could be in the argument when it's all said and done.
Hey, Reggie, think about this for a minute. And everybody remember that the college football playoff system is a subjective system. What does that mean? That means humans are making decisions. That means opinions, where you're located, what conferences. You can say that doesn't matter. I was involved in it 4 times. Twice we got in, twice we did not. There's arguments on both sides. And the committee, in the history of the BC, go all the way back to the BCS and College Football Committee, this will be the most complicated and difficult to make decisions. Here's why. No interconference games. Not the same number of games. Some teams playing 9 or 10, some playing 5. You have quality wins, lack of. I don't see a lot of quality wins out there. Conference champ games are questionable. There's a chance in the Big Ten the 2 best teams aren't going to be playing in it. And then finally, the 2 words that I can't stand, look test. Who are going to make these decisions that are going to, you can say, well, it's just 2020. It impacts coaches, their careers, and more importantly, a player's never the same. You get a chance to go play for a national championship. You guys have won one. It changes your career, your life forever. And people, remember, it's a subjective system. And that task is going to be very difficult this year for the College Football Playoff Committee.
Perfect segue to our next guest. Yes, we are 3 Sundays away from the College Football Playoff Selection Day. We now welcome in live Wisconsin Athletic Director Barry Alvarez, who used to serve on that committee. Number one, good morning. Happy holidays. Thank you for joining us. But, Coach, let's get right into college football. And, yes, I still call you Coach. I know you're an athletic director, but you are Coach Alvarez to so many of us out here. You made some news this week discussing the possibility that the Big Ten could change its rules requiring 6 games to qualify for the conference title game. Where do those discussions currently stand?
Well, we haven't had that discussion yet. But when I was asked about it, in a year of a pandemic and the situation that we've gone through, if in fact we have a team that doesn't qualify, and I was asked about Ohio State precisely, if they have a game canceled, I think we would have to, as athletic directors, revisit whether they should be involved if they don't play 6 games. I think that's something we'd have to talk about.
The Ohio State game at Michigan State today still on. Obviously concerns about Michigan next week in Columbus. The Wolverines not playing this weekend. But so many people out there maybe have this perception, this misperception that this is just an Ohio State issue inside the Big Ten. But Coach, you know there's an impact out there for your program as well, Wisconsin. What is it?
Right. We've fallen below 6 games already. So, you know, there are some things that happen.
Man, we got stung by the Wi-Fi again. Welcome to 2020, Barry Alvarez. Unfortunate that we couldn't get that final response. And Coach, the last question I was going to ask him, and he used to serve on the playoff committee, and we talked to him off camera, and he laughed. I said, you know, what's the advice that you would give the committee? And he laughed. He goes, I don't know, you know, unbalanced schedules, different amount of games. So if you had the opportunity to walk into those doors and talk to that playoff committee, what is the 2 piece of advice that you would pass on to them?
I would teach the committee how to watch videotape. You know, it's a little bit like we talked about a young quarterback goes to the NFL, a young quarterback comes into college. I'm going to go watch film. Tell me what you're watching. You know, you might as well just watch it on TV because you're not really, are you studying? And I would take the 9 segments of a team, offensive line, defensive line, quarterbacks, receivers, and I would simply go through with the video clicker because this is how important. It's going to take a lot of time, but I would rank them by offensive line, defensive line, the 9 position groups, and that's exactly, but you're dealing with 13 people. 2 of them have probably ever done that. You know, I have 2 former players, but that was a while ago. What are they really watching? That's what I would say. The 9 segments, rank them, and that's your best team in the look test.
Back to the Big Ten conversation, though, as far as how we go about determining the 2 teams that play for the Big Ten championship. The difficulty in my mind is this, is you're going to have that same battle we always have when we talk about the college football playoff, you know, most deserving, best resume, those sorts of things. I mean, you look at Northwestern right now, that in the Big Ten West is scheduled to be that team, right? They beat Wisconsin, who we might say some people feel like is a better football team, but the bottom line is Northwestern deserves to be in the position that they're in right now. And what do you say to those teams that haven't been impacted by COVID? And what do you say to the teams that have, whether it's their fault or not for following protocols or how the virus is spread? I think that's the difficulty of all this, and that's where the subjectivity comes in, because now you're trying to make a decision on who you think are the 2 best teams to play off for, because we know what comes along with that. You talked about the chance of winning a national championship. There's also some money that comes along if you're a part of the college football playoff.
Yeah, and there's also that chance out there, you know, with Barry Alvarez joining us, that Wisconsin could end up having a better record than Northwestern going forward, but not having enough games to qualify for the Big Ten championship game.
Start your Saturday strong at 10 Eastern with a legendary college football lineup on the Big Noon Kickoff Show. Big Noon Kickoff on Fox.